Russia's invasion of Ukraine has provoked a major shift in the way Europe sees its security and defense. Finland and Sweden, two Nordic nations that have spent decades avoiding any military alliances, have decided they are no longer safe on their own and have requested to join NATO.
We hope that the Parliament will confirm the decision to apply for NATO membership during the coming days.
This is best for Sweden and the Swedish security. It's not something against Russia.
But how does a country join NATO, and what does this mean for the world? The North Atlantic Treaty Organization is made up of 30 countries. What brings them together is a defense pact called Article 5, which states that an attack against one member country is an attack on them all. This means an invasion of even the smallest or weakest of these nations would bring a response from military powers, including the US, UK, and France. It has been an effective deterrent. Article 5 has only been invoked once after the 9/11 attacks. So why do Finland and Sweden want to join now, more than 70 years after NATO was founded? Finland shares an 830-mile land border with Russia, while Sweden has a maritime border with the Russian exclave of Kaliningrad in the Baltic Sea. For officials in both countries, Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine made it clear that Moscow didn't have reservations about moving into its neighbor's territory.
Three issues have changed when Russia attacked Ukraine. First, that things are now more unpredictable than earlier. Actually, Russia was ready to change the government in a country of 40 million people by military force. Secondly, Russia has increased this kind of loose speech about nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, and so forth. And thirdly, they are ready to put more than 100,000 soldiers, actually without mobilization, in one spot on the border areas. And I think that for this kind of risks, we also have to be ready.
It took Stockholm and Helsinki a couple of months to organize their applications to join NATO. But how long will it take before they become full members? Well, it depends. The accession process has several steps. First, countries looking to join send a letter to the NATO Secretary General. Then, an official invitation to start accession talks is sent to the applicant country. After that, negotiations between the country and NATO begin. Once these are concluded, NATO's Council gives the green light for all NATO members to sign the accession protocol. And this agreement is then ratified by all the NATO countries, which in some cases means getting parliamentary approval. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg hopes Finland and Sweden's applications will progress through these steps quickly. But NATO members, Croatia and Turkey, have raised concerns about letting them into the alliance, which could delay or even halt the process. But it won't just be Finland and Sweden benefiting if they're allowed in. The countries also have a lot to offer the defense alliance. Sweden has about 50,000 military employees and volunteers. Finland has 900,000 reservists and boasts a wartime strength of 280,000 soldiers. Sweden reduced the size of its military in the 1990s, but began to reverse that policy after Russia's illegal annexation of Crimea in 2014. In addition, their troops do joint military exercises with NATO and are experts at operating in the kind of climate and terrain found on Russia's borders with Europe. Finland has other technical expertise that could be useful to NATO allies too. 60 feet underground, we're going to see how Finland has been preparing for the worst. In the capital, Helsinki, there's a vast network of civil shelters, more than 5,000 in total. They're here to protect citizens against attack.
We are trying to assess any kind of weapon effects, so blast proofing and gas proofing and radiation and toxic chemicals.
So it would go as far as protecting citizens against a potential even nuclear.
Even nuclear.
Normally, these underground spaces are used for parking, storage, sporting and cultural activities, even children's play areas. But within 72 hours, this bunker can be converted into a shelter for 6,000 people. Finland has a long history of preparedness. Bunkers like this have been around for decades, but their relevance has become more obvious in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
We have neighbors, and naturally the neighbors might cause us some immediate danger. But right now there is no elevated threat against Finland on any point.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin has historically opposed NATO enlargement, though in May he signaled he would tolerate Finland and Sweden joining the alliance as long as no NATO military bases or equipment sprung up in the countries.
President Putin achieved just the opposite to what he wanted to achieve with this operation. He basically tried to show that the world there is no Ukraine, and the result is that now everybody in the world knows that Ukraine exists. And secondly, he wanted to show that the West and the NATO is dead, and he basically resurrected both the West and NATO. The Swedish and the Finnish decisions was a message that there is no neutral countries on the border of Russia. And this is a new reality. Even during the Cold War it was not like this.